I'm gonna start in a nice easy pose, Sukhasana. I'm gonna sit on this block because I found that I'm super tight in the morning. I'm not a morning yogi. I used to always do evening yoga. So it's been an adjustment for me to do this Saturday morning, but it's really nice. I've just had to learn to modify. So I'm sitting on a block. Maybe a cushion is better for you. So let's just get situated. We'll warm up our breathing here. Remember, our breathing is so critical to our practice for at least two reasons that I'll mention here. Number one, the sound of the breath helps serve as our focal point, so we're not distracted by whatever sights and sounds are around you. And number two, go ahead and close your eyes if that helps you get comfortable. Number two, the breathing helps calm the nervous system. So hopefully you're calm if you woke up from a restful night of sleep, but just in case you're not, begin to find that breath, closing your eyes. Belly is nice and soft here. Your waist is lifted out of your hips. Rib cage is lifted out of your waist, shoulders above your ribs. Good. Making a nice straight line with your back. And then your head is sitting on top of your shoulders. You've got a slight tuck with your chin, so you're not craning your neck up. You've got a slight chin tuck. That way, if you imagine the back of your spine, it's nice and straight from the tip of your head down to your sits bones. Jaw is soft so as to not clench your teeth, and eyes are closed. Nice soft fluttering eyelashes. And begin to breathe deeply. As you breathe, the belly fills and expands on the inhale, followed by the rib cage and then followed finally by the lungs. And as you exhale, first the belly falls to press the air out. Then the rib cage falls and flattens down, and then the air exits the lungs. So let's try to do an inhale to 6, and then we'll hold it for 3, and then we'll exhale to 6, hold it for 3. So inhaling. It's a big one, hold for 3. Exhale for 6. Hold for 3. Inhale for 6. Hold for 3. Exhale for 6. Hold for 3. Inhale for 6. Hold for 3. Exhale for 6. Hold for 3. And try maybe 2 more inhale and exhale cycles on your own. Finding that ujjayi sound. Sounds a little bit like the ocean in your throat. Maybe Darth Vader. Awesome. Hopefully that helps with your breathing and helps you find your center here on the mat. I'm going to remove my yoga block or your cushion if you've been using that. I'm going to come into a kneeling position and we'll begin to warm up our spine. So come to kneeling, hips are over the knees. Knees are about hip width apart. Arms reach overhead. I'm going to grab one wrist with my hand and then pull that straight arm over. And just do your best here to keep your weight centered over your hips so you're not like shooting it too far out the side or bending your back yet. This is meant to be a side body stretch. Good. Inhaling back to center, switching the hand placement. On the exhale, pulling it over to the other side. And then maybe twisting that neck up to the ceiling. Good. Inhaling back to center. And then I'm going to take a quick back stretch here. I'm going to do that by putting the hands on the small of my back And then slightly lifting here. We're not using the hands on our back to press our hips forward. It's really just meant to kind of brace yourself slightly. So take it easy here. It's still early. The spine is actually pretty supple in the morning, so we don't want to jam it out. Good. As you exhale, kind of sit back into your hips here. We're going to go into a child's pose, but we're going to do an active child's pose. So what I mean by that, as opposed to coming all the way down where your hips are probably touching your heels, keep your heels, your hips lifted, and then stretch out those hands towards the top of your mat and pull the body away from the hips. At the same time, the hips are pulling towards the back of the mat. So what we're doing here is trying to stretch out the spine, creating length through every vertebra. You probably want to put your forehead down on the mat, that way you've got a nice straight back. But yeah, so try to envision your back as a straight line as opposed to the curve that it normally has in child's pose. Again, the goal here is to find length in the spine. One more inhale and exhale. Good. Active child's pose there. Okay, so come back on your hands and knees, but this time come down to your forearms. I'm going to cover one, kind of almost covering an ear with my hand here, and just kind of open up at the rib cage, up to the sky and back down, getting a little bit of movement. And the lesson here is that the movement comes from the rib cage. So do that one more time, and then lift the arm up. You can go ahead and thread that arm underneath for our shoulder stretch. So stay in that position. I'll talk you through a couple things. Your hips are pretty much lifted here, so that you can kind of put a little bit of weight on that shoulder as you stretch it underneath. If you'd like to bind, you take the lifted arm up around your back. And one more advancement, try to lift the leg. And the leg, of course, is the opposite leg of the shoulder underneath, if that helps. Good. Leg comes back down, unbind, back up to your hands and knees and tabletop. Let's do the other side. Okay, so hand over the ear, begin to lift up, get a little bit of movement in the rib cage. That's where our twisting comes from in our class. And then take that arm up and thread it underneath for a shoulder stretch. You're more than welcome to stay here, of course, if this feels good. Another option is to bind this extra arm behind your back. I don't know what to call it, extra arm. And to take it one step further, you can lift a leg. Woo. It's supposed to be a balance pose. I clearly just lost mine right there. You can stabilize with this extra arm here too, or try to bind. It just makes it harder to balance. Like I said, this is my intermediate class, so I try to keep it interesting by giving you guys more options, more ways to stretch. Good. Bring that leg down, hands here, and let's go ahead and put the weight back on our heels. I flipped my toes under, so they're kind of curled under, and I'm going to stretch out the bottom of my feet as I sit on my heels here, and then bring those arms behind your back. You can cross them behind your back. Just taking a stretch here to open up the front of the body. For more intensity in the stretch, you can clasp the hands behind you. Just make sure when you're clasping, you're rolling those shoulder blades back, really opening up the chest, and then squeezing the shoulder blades behind you. Love this stretch on my feet. Good. Relax the arms. Go ahead and bring the tops of the feet back down to the mat. Sit on those heels. Good. And then we're going to lift up off of our heels just a little bit there. Good. My hips are tucked under. Arms come up overhead. I'm going to take them to kind of a wide V or a Y. And then squeeze the shoulder blades in the back for a W. Good. Y. W. This is meant to be intense on the thighs. If it's not, probably drop down a little bit so that you're really feeling it. Good. And then just squeeze that back, those shoulder blades every time you come in. Arms up, last one. Sit back down. Nice. Hands come back down on the mat. We'll stretch our shoulder or wrists. We'll do that by rotating the hands out. So the pinkies are on the inside and the palms are flat. Fingers are facing me. Oh yeah, I forgot to start the class by reminding you that I do live near a train track, and the train is coming and it's very loud. So, do your best to keep your breath and try to keep your zone as the train passes us. We'll flip our hands, tops of the palms are on the mat. You can be up over your hands or you can be sitting back, whatever kind of works for you for your wrist here. Wrists and forearms. Well, when your palms are on the mat, this will also work with forearms. Good. So now let's put the hands back on the mat. I want you to work on your Spider-Man grip, which means you're kind of using your fingers. The nail beds will even go a little bit white, and that's how you know you're using your fingers. And as you engage the fingers, you're also engaging the forearms, which is helpful. So I'm doing circles here over my wrists, just kind of shifting my body weight, warming up the wrists and forearms, circle the other way. Good. Now that you're here, take a couple cat-cows. So starting with cow, we're inhaling as we drop the belly, squeezing the shoulder blades a little bit in the back, tailbone points to the ceiling. On the exhale, we round the back into cat. Head drops down, the chin tucks. Good. Inhale, lifting into cow, lifting the head and the belly drops rather. Exhaling into cat. How about we do one more? Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Very nice. Good. And from here, I want you to lift one arm up and lift the opposite leg in the back. So we're in a bird dog, opposite arm, opposite leg. And then bring the arm and the leg to the side for a nice balance here, using the base arm and the base leg to help balance. On the inhale, we take it back to center. Exhaling out to the side. Good. Inhaling back to center. Exhaling out to the side. Good. Arm and leg come down to the mat. Other side. Arm lifts. Opposite leg lifts. Take a slight reach on that inhale. On the exhale, I'm going to hit my plant, so I'm going to move. On the exhale, arm and leg come to the side. Good. Inhale, lifting back to center. Exhaling to the side. Inhaling back to center. One more to the side. Body's shaking. We're warming it up. Inhaling back to center. Good. So arms and legs, or arms and knees, hands and knees back on the mat. And tabletop, take a couple scapular push-ups here, getting that mobility in the shoulder blades. So all we're doing is kind of a push-up by letting the shoulder blades slide up and down the back. Good. And also noting your shoulder position extended. That will do a lot in yoga, but then sometimes we do relax. Good. So push back into a child's pose. Just kind of take one quick breath here. You can push all the way back to your heels this time. And then as you inhale, slide forward, keeping your nose on the mat, so kind of like a snake. Awesome. And come right on up to Sphinx by bringing the forearms in front of you and resting the body on the forearms. Take a quick stretch of the spine here in Sphinx pose. Good. And then tuck the toes behind, or tuck them down behind you, and then lift that pelvis up to a forearm plank. Modification to take the knees down, or you're staying in this plank, turning on those abs. You're going for flat abdomen here, rather than contracting them into a little ball, nice and flat to brace the whole spine. And let's lift the back leg. Good. Inhale. And as you exhale, bring the leg down. Inhale, lifting the other leg. Exhaling down. Good. And drop those knees and drop the belly back down to the ground. Arms come behind you for locust pose. For locust pose, we're going to engage the glutes and lift the tail, the trunk of the body. Well, let's get my words right. We're going to lift the chest and the legs. So the only thing on the ground right now is the navel and maybe the thighs. And I'm squeezing the legs together and I'm squeezing the shoulder blades together. Full posterior side body engagement. And then let's lift 5 times with these arms behind us. Again, just making sure the shoulder blades are working behind us. Good, come down to the mat. Nice. Roll out those feet side to side, unlocking the back. Arms come back in front of us in Sphinx pose again, curling the toes, lifting the hips back up to plank. And this time we're gonna roll very quickly to a side arm plank. So we do that just by shifting the weight over to one side. I've got my hand on my hip here, but you can find what works for you. My hands are staying pretty parallel or pointing to the top of the mat. So I've got a nice open shoulder angle. Good, let's switch sides, forearm down, rolling to the other side. My feet are apart here at the base, which helps me balance, but of course, to intensify the pose, you would stack the feet. That requires more balance. So you're definitely using your back and your shoulder blades here on this base arm, which is why we woke up the shoulder blades so much prior to this point, hopefully. Okay, arm comes down to the mat, hips and knees down as well. Whew. Okay, bring those hands to your rib cage, to your side body. My shoulder blades are squeezing, elbows pointing to the ceiling. Take an exhale. On the inhale, pushing all the way up into Cobra. Well, Cobra's low, so you're not all the way up, rather. So just my chest is lifted, my feet are staying on the ground actually here. Remember, if I remove my hands or lift them from the floor, my chest is still lifted. Good, exhaling down. You can do that again, or you can take up dog. So in up dog, we inhale and we peel our body off the floor and we push the floor away from us so that my shoulders are down, my head is slightly lifted. Only thing touching the mat here are my hands and the tops of my feet. And I engage my glutes here to take the weight off of the lower back. Good. Knees come down on the exhale, come into tabletop. Good. Roll the feet under, and then lift those hips up in the sky. You begin to push the floor away from you with your hands. And you're pushing the floor away, trying to push your chest to your thighs. Your dristy or your view is, rather than looking at your hands, which would make you crane your neck, you want to be looking more at your feet. Pedal out your feet here, stretching out the back side of the calf muscles and the hamstrings a bit. And we can take our scapular push-ups, which means we keep our arms straight and we just practice pushing through those shoulders, letting the shoulder blades squeeze in the back, and then pushing the floor away. Nice. Come up on your toes. When you do that, your hips lift even higher to the ceiling. Good. And roll out over plank. So when you roll out over plank and you're on your toes, you've probably pushed further so that your shoulders are past your hands. Now just relax those feet so your shoulders are stacked. Perfect. That's your plank position with your shoulders over your wrists. Knees come down to the ground. We're in tabletop. From here, I'd like to do a couple of push-ups. So we do that by sending our hips forward, and then we squeeze the body with our elbows back up to top. We're doing this again, squeezing the body with the elbows, making sure here that your shoulders are past your hands. So one more time, shoulders come past the hands as my hips go forward, and then we bend the body, or bend the arms rather, and the body comes to about a 90-degree angle, and then all the way down to the mat. Good. Exhaling everything out. On the inhale, you can take Cobra or pushing all the way into up dog. On the exhale, it's finding our way to down dog, either passing through tabletop or pushing all the way back. Good. Take an inhale here. Exhale it out. Feet come together so that my toes, my ankles, are touching. I'm going to lift one leg into three-legged dog, and we do this by keeping the hips down. So rather than opening up the body to the side, we're going to keep that hip in the foot. The pointed foot is pointing to the ground. It may not be a very big leg lift. Over time, you'll lift it higher and higher. That lifted leg comes down. Let's try the other side. Again, just going for a little lift here. Take this opportunity to push back towards that base foot. Might have a micro bend in that base leg. Good. Lifted leg comes down. Roll up on those toes and then roll on out to plank. From plank here, you can take a modification with knees down or join me in chaturanga. We do that by rolling those elbows back, sending the shoulders forward, and then bending the arms to 90 degrees. Elbows touch the body, and then you go right into up dog or cobra. If you're doing chaturanga, you tend to go right into up dog. Exhaling back into downward dog, passing through table if needed. Good. We'll do that one more time. Raising up on the toes. Rolling out over into plank. Bending the arms on the exhale. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, lifting and leading with the hips, sending the weight towards the heels into down dog. Good. And from here, take a bend in your knees. So you're in, wild cat. So I'm almost, my tummy almost touches my knees when I bend. And then just come on out of that pose and walk your feet to the front of your mat and find a forward fold. So in this forward fold, I'm going to keep my belly on my legs. I'm going to take this opportunity to do another spinal distraction, which means I'm just going to let, rather than stretching the hamstrings here, I'm just going to let gravity pull my head and the spine towards the ground. Letting gravity do the work for me here. So my arms are limp, head is limp. Shake your head no. That's how you know your neck is relaxed. Shake your head yes. Good. And then slowly use your hands and walk your body up your legs. Coming up one vertebra at a time. Top of the mat, we've made it to Tadasana. Wonderful. We'll do a couple of sun salutations. I'm going to grab a little bit of water, take a water asana. Hi Celeste, it's beautiful. Good morning Angie. Thanks everyone for watching. Hi Rebecca. Okay, I hope you guys are doing well. We'll go into our sun salutations, which we've pretty much done all the pieces to. We're going to put it all together in sun salutation A. Okay, so finding Tadasana. Our weight is centered from toe to heel and from side to side. Shoulders are slightly rolled back, palms facing forward. Good. Slight chin tuck here. Arms come up overhead on the inhale. On the exhale, hands come down to the mat into that forward fold. Good. Crown of the mat towards, crown of the head towards the mat. On the inhale, we'll do a half lift. Hands can stay on the mat or also on the shins. The goal here is to lengthen the spine. My view stays down at the mat to keep a straight spine. Exhaling all the way down into forward fold. Inhale, taking one leg back, and then the other leg meets it in plank. Good. On the exhale, taking chaturanga, half push-up. Arms hug the side body. Inhale, up dog cobra. Good. Exhale, hips lead to the top of the ceiling and then pressing the weight back into down dog. Good. Inhale, leg comes back forward. Exhale, other leg meets it as I go down to forward fold. Inhale, half lift, straight spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rolling up the body, upward salute. Exhale, Tadasana. We'll do the other side. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Warming up the hamstrings now, stretching them out. Inhale, other leg steps back. Exhale, plank, or hold your breath in plank, and then exhale down to chaturanga, half push-up. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, lifting the hips up towards the back, shooting the weight to the back of the mat. Good. Inhale, leg comes forward. Exhale, other leg meets it, down and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, all the way to the top of the mat, up, upward salute, exhale, Tadasana. Wonderful job. How did that feel? Hope everyone's doing okay with that. Let's bring the arms overhead, and we'll exhale into chair. Warming up chair pose here. Good. Take an inhale and then exhale down to forward fold. Inhale, half lift. We'll continue to go through the salutation. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, one leg goes back. Exhale, other leg meets it. We're in plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Good. Inhale, one leg steps forward. And this time we're going to come up to crescent lunge. Good. Just hold it here. Exhale, back down to the mat. Take your flow. That means our foot comes back to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Nice. This is sun salutation B. On the inhale, maybe you can lift the leg into three-legged dog here, if you like, and then step that leg forward. Hand comes as far as it can up towards the feet, lifting up into crescent lunge. Nice. Exhale, take your flow. Hands to the mat. Front leg goes back to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. From here, bend your legs and see if you can practice jumping to the top of the mat. So I'm going to wind up here a little bit by bending the legs and then jump and try to get your feet towards your hands. The idea is to be quiet and graceful when you do this. It takes some time to give that a practice. Good. Up dog, or excuse me, up dog. Take a half lift here on the inhale. Exhale down to forward fold. And then on the inhale, roll the body all the way up into upward salute. Nice job. Exhaling down to Tadasana. Good. I threw in a little bit of sun salutation B at the end there too, so hopefully you guys like that. Get a little bit of water here, and we're going to move into our next sequence. And check my time. Good. Right on schedule. Okay. All right, so take a breath here. All right, and those arms lift overhead. And this time we're going to sit back into chair, but we're going to do one-legged chair. So I'm going to do that by shifting the weight onto one side, lifting the leg, I'll show it to you front waist first, and then crossing the ankle over the knee. So we're going to sit back into chair, if I can get my balance. Sitting back into chair, opening up this hip here. So all the weight is working, we're working on the base leg, but then also stretching this bent leg as well. Okay, so hold that in side plank while I get situated. Good. On the inhale, lift this leg and then send it behind you into a curtsy. So I'll show you again from the front. That leg just kind of comes behind you just a bit, but then our weight is evenly distributed front to back, side to side, squeezing it together, using your adductor muscles on the inside of the legs, and squat on down into that curtsy. Good. And then on the inhale, lifting. On the exhale, all the way down to the mat, leg lifts, hands comes down to the mat in standing splits. So in standing splits, I'm lifting this lifted leg up towards the ceiling, of course trying to get in a split. Mine's not quite there, but that's how yoga goes. Hands are on the mat. Good, and take a couple curtsies here. So I'm gonna bend the base leg, bringing the ankles to the ankles in a curtsy, send it back up. This movement kind of helps us lift a little bit more. That's curtsy number 2. I'll take number 3, inhaling down and then exhaling as I lift. Good. And then go ahead on your next curtsy, since you're down on the ground, send that leg to the back of your mat. We're back in a crescent lunge. Now I'm gonna bend my back leg just because it helps my lower back. You do you, straight leg or bent leg, whatever works. but just note that my heel is lifted and my hips are forward. Good. Hold it here for one more breath. Good. Now open up into Warrior Two. So all I did was shift that weight out to the side, take the adjustment with your feet, take a peek down, heel, middle of the foot. Nice open legs here in the front. The Drisdi is looking over the front fingertip. Good. Regain your breath here. Sink a little bit lower on that exhale. Good. On your inhale, begin to shift your weight forward. And we're going into triangle pose. I'm sorry, not triangle, half moon. So I'm going to grab my block here too because it helps if you have a block. So with half moon, my hips continue to be open to the side of my mat. Arm is raised. The base arm, you can use your water bottle if you have a water bottle, a block. It may just be dangling out there, which is a pretty intense balance pose, or you're touching all the way to the ground if you've got flexibility to do that. So Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Good. So lift back up, come to the center of your mat. Whew. Exhale here, grab, regain your breath. So from here, make sure that your feet are a little bit more than hip width distance apart. My toes are slightly turned out. Arms are going to come overhead. We're going to go into bear pose like we did last weekend, if you remember that. So we're just going to squat down. It's kind of like a wide chair. So make sure those hips are all the way down. And then when you're all the way down, tilt over so that you make like a tabletop here. I like to put my hands on the ground. It just helps relieve a little bit of pressure in the back. To intensify the pose, your hands are extended out front. So just make sure that your knees are tracking with the direction of your toes, slightly turned out. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. And from here, now I want you to bring those toes or the heels in and sit the hips all the way down into Malasana Garland pose. Ooh, I love this. It feels good for me because I've got the flexibility to get down, but if you're not all the way down, you can use a block here, sit on the block, just practice opening up. So you're here in Garland pose, using those elbows to help push the legs out a bit further. Okay, crow pose. So from here, normally we do this on the front of the mat. So get some space. Hands are going to come down to the mat. You're going to use your Spider-Man grip as you place the hands on the mat. The feet are well positioned to do crow, so we're just going to lift the hips up, and you're going to practice putting your knees into the backs of your arms. Some people like them in the fleshy part of the armpit. Some people squeeze the side. You're going to have to find what works for you. So crow pose is an arm balance. I'm doing it here if you can see. You can also practice if you're not ready to lift, just lifting one foot at a time. So there I lift one foot, putting it back down, lifting the other foot. Good, and you're just practicing this balance here. And eventually lifting both feet, squeezing the arms together with my legs. That's how I do it. Engaging the abs. Good job. Okay, we might have time to play with that one more time. So join me back in Malasana. Gather your breath. I know it's hard to breathe in crow. And see if you can stand all the way up. Nice. Now bring the foot position so they're not so far turned out, and we'll go back into bear pose one more time. Arms come overhead, sitting back, sending the hips back and down. And then as you get down there, tilt over like a tabletop. Hands come down to the floor if needed. Good. Nice deep stretch. Arms come up, body comes up to standing. We're going to reverse the flow that we just did this way, now going this way. So we do that by first coming out in to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. This time on the other side. So I'm going towards the back of my mat. I'm taking the variation that's lifted right now. You can put the hand down to the mat or use a block. On the inhale, lifting the body, sending the back leg to the mat, and finding warrior two. Apologize, that wasn't as graceful as I would have liked. Drizzy is over the front hand, the front finger. On the inhale, sweeping that arm forward, turning the hips to the back of the mat. I'm now in crescent lunge. Inhale, sink a little bit lower. On the exhale, sending the body forward into standing splits. So I'm lifting that one leg up to the sky, balancing by placing the hands on the floor. Crown of the head comes down towards the mat. And do a couple curtsies here if that helps you get some more range of motion. So bending ankle to ankle, straightening and extending into split. Let's do one more here, ankle to ankle, up into split. Good. From here, lift the body. You kind of pass through warrior three here. You can lift the front leg, and then we go down into that curtsy. Just bend those legs and sit down into both hips, weight evenly distributed. Sink a little lower. And now final pose here. Wow, my balance is off. Lift that leg and then sit into chair. One-legged chair too at that. Inhaling back up to center, exhaling to Tadasana. Awesome job. We're going to do that same flow one more time. We're going to reverse it. So we're going to start with the leg we just finished in the same position and then come back to the top of our mat. We'll do it a little bit faster and try to flow with our breath. Okay, so coming to your mat, I'm at the back of the top of the mat. Arms overhead. Inhaling, exhaling into one-legged chair. Good. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling into curtsy. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, leg swings to the back, arms swing to the floor. Standing splits. Now here, let's do our curtsies first. We'll do 3. Exhale, down, extend. That's 2. We'll do 1 more. From here, try to take a hop with your foot. So I'm just going to lift my foot a little bit, maybe do it one more time. What you're doing here is practicing a handstand. Awesome. Curtsy down one more time and then send that leg to the back of your mat into crescent lunge. Good. Take an inhale, exhale here. Inhaling, exhaling into warrior 2. Nice. Drizzy's over the top of the fingers. Inhaling into half moon, forgot the word there. Exhaling back to center. Take an inhale here, exhaling into chair, or into bear pose rather. So make sure your knees and toes are tracking, hips are down, and then lifting into this table position. Inhale, bring those feet in. Exhale, sit down into Malasana Garland pose. Take an inhale here. Exhale down. Hands get ready for crow. Find your position on your mat. Take a minute here, lift those hips. Play with one leg up or both leg up, whatever variation you're taking. See if you can find crow. Take an inhale if you're there. Exhale, feet come down to the mat. Malasana. Nice. Inhale, we lift. Feet come in slightly. Exhale, back down to bear. Inhale, hands to the mat. Exhale, hold the bear pose. Good. Inhale, coming up. Exhaling into half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Holding it here for an inhale. Exhale, foot comes to the back of the mat, warrior 2. Take an inhale. Exhale, hand sweeps forward. Inhale, take a lift into your lunge. Exhale, arms go forward into standing split. Inhale, reach that leg up. Exhale, take a curtsy. Inhaling, reach. Take another curtsy. Inhaling and reach. And now that you're up here, see if you can do a couple of handstand hops. Just play with it. My foot is staying down. One of them is just kind of pointing to the ground. The other is up high. Nice. Handstand hops, good. Then take that last curtsy here. Actually, we need to be extended rather. And then we lift the hands. Ooh, the base leg is feeling it. And come into that curtsy. We're almost done, guys. A couple more breaths. Inhaling, leg lifts. Exhaling into one-legged chair. Good. Inhaling up to center. Exhale, Tadasana. Wow. Hopefully that felt okay. Good job with that. It's a pretty complicated series, a lot of balancing, a lot of shifting of the weight. So my balance felt terrible this morning, but it's okay. We're right where we need to be. So get your breath here, grab a quick drink of water. We've got one more little sequence to go through, and then we're gonna relax it on out. Okay, so find your Tadasana, mountain pose on your mat. I'm gonna just close my eyes and take a couple of breaths here to try to get my breathing calm. That last vinyasa really kind of threw off my breathing pattern. Good. When you're ready, bring those arms overhead. On your inhale, exhale, hands come down to forward fold. Good. And maybe from here, we're gonna hop back into plank, reversing the way we hopped to plank earlier. So bending the legs and then whoop, hopping back into plank. Good. And then just push back into that down dog. Pushing, pushing, pushing. Hopefully your down dog feels a little more flexible now. Maybe your heels are finding the mat a little bit more. Pushing through those shoulders. Good. And then raise the toes, rolling over to plank. So I want shoulders right over the hands here. And then we're gonna roll into side plank. So I'm gonna do that by lifting one arm and one leg. Good. Lots of variations you can take. You can spread the feet a little bit here. You can put the front leg down. You can put the base knee down. So find the variation for you. If you're solidly in plank, you can begin to raise the top leg. Whoop, almost lost my balance. You can lift. There's just so many different things you can do in plank. Most importantly, building the strength in the shoulder, squeezing the shoulder blades in the back. I'm going to raise this arm. That's probably the proper way to show this. And then also through the side body. Nice. We're going to do the other side. So hand comes down, rolling over to the other side. Find your variation or your modification. Whatever variation you do, try to keep the hip and the side body lifted rather than letting it sink down. We want to lift. Good. Hand comes down to the mat. Press back into down dog. Take a breather here. Down dog is one of those active resting poses. Good. Feet touch at the back of the mat. Take a lift here into three-legged dog. On the inhale, begin to bring the nose to the knee as we roll forward to plank. Exhale, back to three-legged dog. Inhale, rolling forward. My knee comes to my elbow. Same arm, same leg. Good. Exhaling it back into three-legged dog. And then one more time, rolling forward, knee comes to opposite elbow. So I'm twisted underneath. And then I'm going to step that foot out into wild thing or tripod, whatever you call it. Open up those hips towards the side of your mat. So I'm now kind of in a modified plank here. That's why we warmed up with plank first. Good. Sit the hips down on the mat and stretch towards that opposite back leg. I'm going to do just kind of like a one-legged stretch here. Both hands grabbing that foot, straight back, sinking the head towards the shin. And then inhaling and reversing that flow. So I'm going to put my arm back on the mat, roll through Wild Thing, and then turn over back into plank. Good. We'll do the other side now. So this time we'll start back in downward dog on the exhale. Good. Lifting that leg. On the inhale, knee comes to nose, rounding out the back. Exhale into down dog. Inhale, knee comes to same elbow. I've got kind of almost like a half chaturanga here. Exhale into three-legged dog. And then inhale, opposite knee, opposite elbow. And then pull that leg through into Wild Thing. Again, we're focusing on the rotation of this base shoulder. Working those back muscles around the shoulder blade. Good. Drop the hips gently, then come into a stretch on this back leg. Straight spine, pulling down towards your shin. Good. Inhaling, coming back up, that hand comes behind you again, rolling through Wild Thing one more time, and then flipping over into our plank position. Very good. Roll back again into downward dog on the exhale. Take a leg lift, and then bring that leg through, and we'll do pigeon. So in pigeon, I've kind of brought my nose to my knee, and then the ankle is going to go to one hand, knee to the other. So if you can see this, I'm in kind of like a number 7 with my leg. And then I'm going to try to sit back on those hips. And what you want to try to do is stay up on the hips as opposed to totally rolling over like this. So you're going to have to find your position. So if you know pigeon, take pigeon. I'm going to walk you through it here. When you've got your situation, you've got your body situated rather, you can lean forward over that front leg. I like to do a double bump fist here and then lay my head on my fist. However you can get comfortable leaning over. Modification. This front leg would simply come into thread the needle on your back. So take whichever modification you like, pigeon or thread the needle. Awesome job. If you're in thread the needle, you can just switch your sides. If you're in pigeon, you're going to push up back into plank, and then you're going to do the other leg. So you can bring that back leg up, and then bring the knee to the nose, and then put that ankle towards one hand, knee towards the other, and sit back in your number 7. Maybe it's a backward 7, depending on what leg you're on. And then sit down into that pigeon. The goal here is to kind of keep that back knee turned under again, so you're not totally rolling and collapsing into it. So definitely a more intense version of, and then thread the needle would be the less intense version. If that feels better for you, coming forward on that leg. And try to just be as still as possible in this pigeon pose. It's really easy to fidget, but just try to relax. Just deepen the breath and try to quiet the mind, and with every breath, sinking a little bit lower. Wonderful. If you're in thread the needle, you can stay on your back. If you're in pigeon pose, just go ahead and kind of press up back into plank, Knees come to the ground, hips to the ground, and then eventually let's find on your back, I guess. Knees are bent, heels are pretty close to the sits bones, palms are by the sides of my body, facing down, and we're gonna do bridge pose. So on the inhale, we lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Maybe you adjust your shoulders. Oh wow, I'm looking at I can see the sky now. It's just awesome. What a gorgeous day we have here in Houston, Texas. I hope you have a beautiful day wherever you're joining us from. Good, and let's lift one leg to the ceiling. So now we've got one leg supporting all of our weight, or most of our body weight. Chin is tucked. Make sure you're not looking at me here at the camera. You want to look straight up ahead. Tuck that chin, other leg lifts. One leg goes to the ground. Return that leg down to the ground. One more leg lift. Really engage those glutes. Turn them on. Make them work for you. And then squeeze the inner thighs. Try to raise that chest a little bit more by tucking the chin. And then exhale all the way down. Nice. Raise those legs up to the ceiling. Just take a minute to let the blood kind of return down the body. And then bring those feet down to the ground and let the knees fall over to one side. Arms come out to a T. Head looks the opposite direction of the knees. Good. On the inhale, bringing the legs back to center and then falling out to the other side. Arms are in a T and the head looks the other direction of the legs. For this final spinal twist. Good. On the inhale, legs come back to center. And then you can begin to walk your feet out into Shavasana, corpse pose. Hands come down by the side, palms are lifted towards the ceiling. Just relax the feet, let the feet roll out. Unclench the fists so that the palms are facing upwards, nice soft fingers. Move the sits bones around so that you can get a good, comfortable position for your back. And roll out the shoulder blades. Begin to find a nice, even breath. Jaws relaxed, slightly open. Eyes are closed. And if you feel any tension anywhere in your body, try to use your breath. Inhaling in, and exhaling, pressing the breath to that part of the body, asking it to relax. And maybe you can pretend you're outside with me, listening to the sounds of nature, the birds, the rustling of the leaves. Just imagine that you're by a pool of water. Maybe for you it's the ocean. Maybe it's a waterfall, creek, river, pond, lake. Whatever makes sense for you. And whenever you notice a thought or a sensation coming to your mind, just let that thought ripple away over the water. And try to enjoy this final moment of quiet. And should another sensation come to your mind, acknowledge it and then let it ripple away. Begin to bring your awareness back to your body. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your hands, feeling the sensation of the breeze over your body. And keeping your eyes closed still, take one final stretch where you stretch your arms way overhead, stretching far from fingertip to toes. And then as you exhale, bring the legs and the arms in, bending the body, rolling over to one side, kind of rolling into like a letter C, using your arm as a pillow, your base arm as a pillow. And just enjoy this last moment of quiet to yourself. And then using your arms to press up the body, keeping the eyes closed, joining me in Sukhasana, easy pose, or lotus, whichever works for you. Hands come to the knees, grounding out your energy. Take this time to thank yourself for making the time for your practice. Thank your body for holding you up through your practice. And thank your breath for being your guide. And take this final moment to send out all of your positive energy and love out to the world, to those around you, nearby and beyond. Hands come into prayer position with the thumbs coming to the third eye center of the mind. The spirit and love in me salutes the spirit and love in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Saturday morning practice. If you had any questions over anything that we did today, I would love to work with you. If you didn't understand one of the arm balances, you need extra practice with crow, you want to know how to do the handstand hop, I'm here to help you. I know it's a little bit harder to do over FaceTime where I can't see you. Not FaceTime, what are we doing? Facebook Live where I can't see you. But just know that I'm here for you. So please contact me at via Facebook. You can also join my page, Balance and Beam Yoga Fitness, for extra tips on yoga. Have a wonderful Saturday. Be blessed. Thank you for everything.